a list of courses on the top, and then we have a course viewer at the bottom. And what we'd like to be able to do is be able to toggle between the two, right? So where we have perhaps the default component listing all the courses, and then when we select a particular course, we'd like to navigate to that particular to the course viewer when we select that particular course, right? So how do we do that? So what we're going to do here is that we're going to implement in the app component. What we're going to do is that we're going to declare a route, right? That we're going to say that in here we would like to inject different content depending on the URL, right? So we're going to put a placeholder that doesn't have anything at first, right? And then we're going to configure it and say, hey, if you see this in the URL, then I want to show this. But if you see this other things, I want you to show this other thing, okay, this other component. So let's do that. So the way we do that is we're going to replace this entire content, right? Right now, notice if I go back, notice that it's blank. It's a blank screen. What we're going to do is that we're going to put here a, right? So there it is. So the router outlet, right, is the placeholder where we're going to dynamically inject content, right, depending on what the URL says, right? So let's do that. Right, so the way we configure that, if you notice right now the content is empty. You know, we have a blank sheet over here, blank screen. And so what we're going to configure is that in the app routing module, is where we're going to configure what to see when the URL changes. Right? This is the equivalent in React where you create a base router, right? And then underneath in there, you then create a whole bunch of routes. Yes? And each route configures what the path is and what the component should render. Yes? So the way to do that here is by implementing a JSON object for each one of those routes. Right? So the syntax is slightly different, right? But the concept is the same. Here we can say that if you see in the path, right? If you don't see anything, meaning slash, right? Then the component that I want you to render is by default the course list component, right? If instead in the path you see course, and then you have the ID of some course, right? I want you to instead render the component the course viewer. Okay, so that's those are the two patterns, right? So if I go back now, notice that I can see my course list component again because my URL is the slash, right? I don't have anything in the URL. See that? So by default, say if I don't see anything in the path, I want to see the course list. Instead, if I see this in the URL and I see course //123, I would see the course viewer. See that? Yes. Yes, by default they're exact. Yeah, but you can nest them. Like you can have a URL, a mapping of the path, and then you can have children, right? And then the path are concatenated amongst each other, right? So yeah, you can do that as well. So notice that I can. The back button works just the same. I can go back, I can go forward, right? And it's driven by the changes in the URL to see which component it renders, right? So what I'd like to be able to do is that, you know, depending on the ID of the course, we would like to load the details of that particular course, right? And we will do that next time.